So I thought I'll talk, since we finished the Mantra Raja Stotram on Narasimha, thought I will take you through a tour of one of the most famous Narasimha Stalams in India, which is Ahobilam. Ahobilam Divya Desam. So I thought I'll just take you through it and like a travel log. So just some credits, a lot of the pictures. So I try to put a lot of pictures in this presentation to give you an idea of the Stalam. So a lot of the pictures were taken from these ebooks. From those ebooks, I just want to give credit for that. Okay, Ahobilam Kshetram. Ahobilam is located in Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh in the hills of the Eastern Ghats. So it's about 400 kilometers from Chennai. You can see the map here. If you were to drive, it'll probably be a 9 to 10 hour drive. You can go through Tirupati and do that, but it's a pretty long drive from Chennai. So if you really want to visit Ahobilam from Chennai, probably best to take a train to Kadapa and then from there drive to Ahobilam. So Ahobilam is in the Eastern Ghats, and by tradition, the entire Eastern Ghats range is believed to be the body of Adiseshan. So on his head, on his 7 hoods, his head lies Tirumala. On his stomach, which is the middle of the mountain range, lies Ahobilam. And on his tail lies Sri Sailam. So the entire Eastern Ghat range is believed to be a body of Adiseshan, and Ahobilam is right in the middle. One thing also interesting to note, that if you look at Andhra Pradesh, that is the original Andhra Pradesh, that is today's Andhra Pradesh in Telangana, it probably has the most number of Narasimha temples. Epigraphic sources indicate that there were 79 ancient temples dedicated exclusively to Lord Narasimha Swami in Andhra Pradesh, of which 27 temples have received continuous temple worship from ancient times. So of course, temples like Ahobilam, Simhachalam, Mangalagiri, Yadigiri Gutta, Kadri, etc. They're all Narasimha Swami temples. Ahobilam is believed to be the place where Lord killed Hiranyakashipu and saved Prahalada. In fact, Brahmanda Purana says that this place was once the palace of Hiranyakashipu, who was slain by Sriman Narayana manifesting as Narasimha form in the pillar for the sake of saving his devotee. The vagaries of time brought about the destruction of the then existing structures, yielding place to nature's creation of the mountain range that preserved the site of incarnation as the Swayam Vakta Kshetram of Lord Narasimha. So it is really believed that Ahobilam is the place where Lord Narasimha appeared and killed Hiranyakashipu. There are 9 forms of Narasimha that are worshipped here. I'll go into more details later. It is a Divya Desam Koil because Tirumangai Alvar has sung 10 Pasurams on the Narasimha here. So the Divya Desam temple is, if there's any Koil where one of the 12 Alvars has sung a Pasuram on that Perumal, it gets classified as a Divya Desam temple. And there are 108 Divya Desams, 108 Divya Desa Kovils. For example, Srirangam, Tirupati, Tiruvallikeni, Dwaraka, Badrinath, they're all Divya Desam because one of the 12 Alvars, somebody has sung a Pasuram on that. Now there are 106 Divya Desams that you can visit in this world. 107th and 108th is in the afterlife. 107th is Tirupar Kadal, the Milky Ocean, and the 108th is Paramapadam, Vaikuntham. And the Ahobila Matam was also established here, was started from here, and is still headquarters here. And this is one of the most premier Sri Vaishnava Matams there is, and I will talk a little bit about that later on. Sthala Puranam. So Garuda wished for a vision of Lord Narasimha in the form of the Avatara. Garuda went into a cave here in the hills and commenced silent penance to obtain a vision of Lord Narasimha who had destroyed Hiranyakashipu. After long years of tapas of Garuda, the Lord in his grace manifested himself in 9 different forms in the hills around Ahobilam, in the midst of the dense forest. For this reason, the hill came to be known as Garudadri. Mahalakshmi also took avatar as Senju Lakshmi among the Senju, the tribal hunters of the hills, and married the Lord. So how did the name Ahobilam come about? There are really 2 derivations or theories. One is Ahobila is the great cave mountain where Garuda did penance to Lord Narasimha. The second is when Lord Narasimha appeared and killed Hiranyakashipu, he was in a Ugra form. His roars gave shivers to all the 3 lokas. The Devatas, Rishis were terrified. Witnessing this wonderful pastime, the Devatas glorified Lord Narasimha with the following sloka. Aho Viryam, Aho Shauryam, Aho Bahu Parakramaha, Narasimham Param Devam, Ahobilam, Ahobalam. Oh, what a great valor he has. Oh, his great gallantry. Oh, those great powerful shoulders of the greatest of the gods, Lord Narasimha. And what a mighty cave it is, and what a mighty divine strength he has. Ahobalam. Enna balam, Tamilla sonna. What strength. So from that Ahobalam, it became Ahobilam. Now, there are 9 Narasimha stalams in Ahobilam. They're not all in one place. They're all spread out in different temples. The 9 Narasimhas are Jwala Narasimha, Ahobila, Kroda, Malola, Kaaranja, Chatravata, Paavana, Bhargava, and Yogananda. We'll look at these in more detail. Now you need to sort of understand the area we're talking about here. So I thought this map was sort of interesting that showed how these, there are really 12 shrines. There are 9 Narasimhas, plus there are a couple of other shrines as well. They're spread out throughout the area, which is hilly with full of mountains. So this whole area in the middle is this river that I'm showing here. This river is called Paavana, which flows through here, and the hills are all, and the temples, the various temples are all around that. Now this Ahobilam is divided into 2. One is called Lower Ahobilam, which is where that you can reach by road, right? So you can see this road here, this paved road. So cars can go up to wherever this is. After that, everything else, the paths shown are what you have to walk. So some of them are a bit distance here. So in Lower Ahobilam, you start by here in this koil is called Prahalada Varadar koil. That's the first, it's not part of the 9 Narasimha, but it's a Prahalada Varadan Narasimha, where Narasimha is gracing Prahalada. That's where the starting point is. And there's something called a Malola and guest house there, where there are accommodations where you can stay. Now, from there, these 3 of the 9 Narasimhas, here 6 you have Bhargava Narasimha, 7 Yogananda Narasimha, and 8 Chatravata Narasimha. These are all very sort of easier to go to. Yogananda, Bhargava Narasimha are right off the road, so you can walk it here. Bhargava Narasimha, it's about a 2.5 kilometer walk from the Lower Ahobilam, from the road. Now the other side is what's called Upper Ahobilam, and Upper Ahobilam is at a little bit of height. It's at 2,800 feet above the sea level, and the rest of the 6 Narasimha shrines are in the Upper Ahobilam. And this Upper Ahobilam is in a valley between 2 hills, Garudadri and Vedadri, and then, as I said, there's a river that flows in between. So to cover all this, you can try to do it in a day, but you have to be really, really physically fit to cover it in a day. Probably you would need a day and a half to cover this. It take you probably about 6 to 7 hours of walking to cover all the 9 Narasimha stalams. And some of them are a little bit more difficult than others. So this number one here, this is the Jwala Narasimha, which is, you have to go quite a bit up and walk to that. And even the Paavana Narasimha number 9 here is also a bit of a hike. So in the upper Ahobilam, you start at number 2, the Ahobila Narasimha, and then you go around. As you can see, some of the distances here, 7 kilometers, 3 kilometers, 6 kilometers. So if you really want to cover all the 9 Narasimha Kshetram, probably did best to do it in a day and a half. You still have to walk quite a bit for that.
So each one of these places has a little town around them where you can stay, is it? Or
no?
No. Okay.
The only thing you have the guest house here at Prahalada Varadan Temple in Lower Ahobilam, and there's a guest house there. There's a canteen there. There's also the Ahobila Matam thing is there. You can stay there, and then you can go around to these other places and to do it. I think now some of the other areas they have put a little bit of road, but there's still quite a bit of walking to do. A lot of people do it as a trek as well. They do it, right? Like a trekking as well. They do it here.
And these are functioning temples where they have seva every day and all that.
Yeah, they have sevas there. Yeah. So I'll go into that. Okay, the other in Tamil Ahobilam is called Singavel Kundram. Vel means the one who is the most desirable. Singavel translates into Aragiya Singar, right? The one who is the most majestic, unusual, and captivating to look at. And the hill that he presides over is the Kundram. Kundram means hill in Tamil. So the hill that he presides over is the Kundram of Singavel. So Singavel Kundram, Tamilla Sulva. So let's go through, I'll take you through to each of these temples and just give you a walk. Just a picture just to show you what we're talking about here. We're not talking about, like a temple you drive up and people, right? This is the view of the Ahobilam hills from atop to what's called the Ugra Stambham. And you can see some of the temples. So this is type of the forest sort of things that it's in, right? And so let's start with Lower Ahobilam. So this is the Prahalada Varada temple. This is your base. This is where you start from. And here, the Lord is Prahalada Varadan. So here Lord Narasimha is blessing Prahalada with his grace. The family deity of Sri Srinivasa of Tirupati is Lord Narasimha in Ahobilam. Because the Lord was in the fierce form, Srinivasa installed the deity of the Lord in the Shanta form and worshipped him before his marriage with Padmavati Devi. The Utsava deities of Sri Paavana Narasimha and Jwala Narasimha are also worshipped in the temple. So a lot of the temples, because they're away and they're in caves, a lot of the times the Utsava Perumal of those Perumals are kept here in the Lower Ahobilam in Prahalada Varada temple. And Chanju Lakshmi, as of I told you, was Mahalakshmi Tayar who took the avataram here. So this is in Lower Ahobilam. And in Lower Ahobilam, you have the 3 Narasimhas as I told you in the map. So I'll just go through quickly each one of them. The first one is Bhargava Narasimha. So here Lord Parashurama, who is also known as Bhargava, performed penances to please Lord Narasimha. Lord Parashurama, remember Lord Parashurama was the avataram between Vamana and Raghurama, right? Lord Parashurama wanted to have darshan of the Lord right at the moment when he tore apart the chest of Hiranyakashipu. Pleased by the penances of Parashurama, Lord Narasimha gave him the desired darshan. The Lord is being worshipped here and is known as Sri Bhargava Narasimha Swami. This is one of the most ferocious forms of Lord Narasimha in Ahobilam. This temple is located on the banks of Akshaya Tirtha, which is considered on par with the sacred Pushkara Tirtha. Parashurama would bathe in this kunda and use this water for the worship of Lord Bhargava Narasimha. Sage Vashishta and other sages had performed penances here. You can see here at the bottom, you can one can have darshan of Prahalada, the lotus feet of the Lord. So here you have Prahalada here. Hiranyakashipu is on Lord Narasimha's wrap being shred open. And Perumal is holding Shanga and Chakram in his hands. So this is Bhargava Narasimha. Next one is Yogananda Narasimha. Now this form is very popular. You would have seen it in a lot of other temples. Narasimha is in yoga posture. So like you can see here, he's sitting in the Padmasana. You can see the legs being crossed here and the hands on there. It's believed that after killing Hiranyakashipu, Lord Narasimha taught Prahalada several yogic postures and yoga. Therefore, the Lord in this aspect is called Yogananda Narasimha. Now, like I said, there are many forms of yoga Narasimha everywhere. One of the most famous one is in Sholingar. I don't know whether you've been to Sholingar, but it's up on a hill. And you have to walk up those steps. It's called Sholingar Narasimha. So he's in Yoga Narasimha there. So this form is very popular in other temples as well. Next, Narasimha of the 9 that are in lower Ahobilam is Chatravata Narasimha. Now, have you ever seen a Narasimha deity that is smiling? Well, this one is. And he's said to be enjoying music. So the story behind that here is this temple is near a peepul tree, which forms an umbrella, chatra. Chatra means umbrella in Sanskrit, Chatravada. So because he is under that tree, he is called Chatravada Narasimha. And the story behind it is, Lord Narasimha is said to have blessed two Gandharvas, celestial musicians, named Ha Ha and Hu Hu. No, I'm not joking. This is what it said. 2 celestial musicians named Aha and Hu Hu, who came from Meru Parvata and sang melodious songs before the Lord. The Lord was pleased and he is smiling. By that blessings, they became renowned singers in the 3 worlds. Even today, devotees who visit Chatravata Narasimha sing songs before the Lord to get his blessings. The image of the Lord Narasimha is depicted sitting in a Padmasana. The Lord has 4 hands. With the upper 2 hands, he is holding Shankam and Chakram. With the lower right hand, he is showing the Abhaya Mudra. This Abhaya Mudra is the palm up showing is the gesture of granting fearlessness, right? And interesting, I read why that Abhaya, why that mudra is like that for granting fearlessness. I don't know about you, but அந்த காலத்துல அந்த பாட்டி கொள்ளு பாட்டிலாம் வந்து சொல்லச்ச டேய் பயப்படாதடா ஒன்றும் ஆகாதுடான்னா எப்பவுமே கையை இப்படி பண்ணுவா. அட்லீஸ்ட் மை பார்ட்டி யூஸ் டு டூ இட். ஸோ அதில் தான் அந்த அபய முத்திரம் இப்படி கையை காமிச்சு பயப்படாத. ஸோ அதே மாதிரி பெருமாள் நம்மளுக்கு பயப்படாத நான் இருக்கேன்னு அதுதான். ஸோ தட்ஸ் வை இஸ் தி அபய முத்ரா. And the lower left hand of the Lord is placed over his thigh. So these are the 3 Narasimhas in the lower Ahobilam. So let us proceed now to the upper Ahobilam. The first one, which is what when you go up to upper Ahobilam, the first one that you will come to is called Ahobila Narasimha, right? And you can see how beautiful it is, the place. This is the main temple and the earliest of all the 9 Narasimha temples there. The Lord here appears in his fierce aspect called Ugra Narasimha, who is the presiding deity of the temple, is known as Ahobila Narasimha Swami. Here, the Lord resides in a Shaligrama form, and the deity is situated inside a cave. It is firmly believed the Lord Narasimha was Swayambhu, self-manifested here. And if you look at it, you can see on his lap here, this is, I guess they put a thing over it, but this is actually Hiranyakashipu on the Perumal's lap there, Narasimha's lap here. So this is the first temple from where now you go off to all the other upper Ahobilam temples. The next one is Jwala Narasimha. The temple of Jwala Narasimha Swami lies higher up on a hill called Achala Chaya Meru. This is about 4 kilometers from the previous Ahobila Narasimha temple we saw. This place is said to be the actual spot where the fierce anger of the Lord reached its culmination when he tore Hiranyakashipu. So if you look at this Archamurti form, it's very interesting. Here Narasimha has 8 hands. You can see here with 2 hands, one he's holding Hiranyakashipu's head, the other one he's holding his ankle so that he doesn't move. The next set of hands are tearing open his stomach. Akagre Shakali Chakre, right? So tearing open the stomach. Next 2 pair of hands, you can see here, he is pulling the 2 strands of Hiranya's intestines up and wearing them around a garland, around his neck as a garland here. And then the last 2 hands, of course, holding the Shanga and the Chakram. So this is very interesting here, and you see Prahalada here as well here. So this is the Jwala Narasimha. Now, it's a bit of a hike. This is probably one of the more difficult Jwala Narasimha Stalams to go. Like I said, it's in a cave, and this is the way that you go. And you sort of have to, here they're walking through, and you can see the water falling from the river. Pavanasini in Tarayil pointer, so that river, and so this is a bit of a hike into that, which sort of gives you how it looks. But slowly they have started to improve the access, especially thanks to the foresight of Prakritam Aragiya Singer, one of the GRs. Clear pathways have been constructed to climb some of the hills. So it's not as bad in those days when Tirumangayalvar came, that he was in the 6th to 7th century. This place was probably, it was full of very, very dangerous and hazardous to go. But nowadays, they've sort of made it a little bit easier, but it's still a bit of a hike that you have to go here. And the interesting thing is, because Narasimha's Nakshatram is Swati, every month on the Swati Nakshatram, they do Abhishekam in all the 9 Narasimha temples, and that's very popular. And a lot of people come from Chennai, Hyderabad, and all that to attend that. Okay. Third, very famous, is Malola Narasimha. The deity of Lord Narasimha here is in a peaceful form, since Lakshmi Devi is also present. Ma means Mother Lakshmi and Lola means beloved. The Supreme Lord Narasimha is the beloved of Mother Lakshmi and hence is glorified as Malola Narasimha. Now, when we talk about Malola Narasimha, at this point I do have to talk about how the Ahobilam Matam came about, because the Malola Narasimha is very much associated with the Ahobilam Matam. So let's just look at that. Ahobila Matam was established about 600 years back at Ahobilam by Srimad Ativan Shadagopan, who was originally known as Cadambi Srinivasachar. One day, the Lord of Ahobilam, Sri Lakshmi Narasimha, appeared in Srinivasachar's dream and instructed him to come to the temple town of Ahobilam. There, the Lord himself initiated Srinivasachar into sannyasam and gave him the title Shadagopa Jiyar. One of the 9 Narasimhas of Ahobilam, called Malolan, jumped into the hands of Ativan Shadagopan and ordered him to travel the length and breadth of the country. Thus began the institution called Sri Ahobila Matam and the travels of the Lord Malolan to village after village, so that the devotees get a chance to undertake Panchasamskaram and perform Bharanyasam at the lotus feet of the Lord. The travels thus started 600 years ago continues to this very day. A succession of 46 ascetics known as Aragiya Singers have headed the Sri Ahobila Matam. And even today, they travel around, and if you invite them, they'll come to your house, and Malolan will also be brought there. They'll worship Malolan there, and to do that. So this Malola Narasimha is very, very famous, and shows a picture here of the original, not a picture, but a idol of the first GR with the Malola Narasimha. As I said, the Malolan always travels with the GR. That's the Utsava Perumal. And right now, the current GR of Ahobilam is the 46th GR in the lineage. His name is Srivan Shadagopa Sri Ranganatha Yatindra Mahadesikan. And Ahobilam Matam is because its headquarters in Ahobilam. Okay, let's get back to our travels. Okay, this is Ugra Stambham. This is way up on the top. This is a cleft of the mountain dividing it into 2 visible parts. It is a long-held view that from the cleft the Lord appeared in the form of Narasimha. So this probably is where the pillar was before. But this Ugra Stambham is, way up on top of Upper Ahobilam. Usually people don't climb to the top. Some people do, but this is the Ugra Stambham. Oh, sorry. Okay, quickly I'll talk about the other 3 Narasimhas. Kroda Narasimha, also called Varaha Narasimha, after killing, which is one on the left. I don't know whether you can see clearly, but you can see the usual Varaha form, the boar face, and Lakshmi sitting there. So after killing Hiranyakashipu, Lord Narasimha was very angry with Lord Brahma because of the boon he had awarded to Hiranyakashipu. He summoned Lord Brahma, but Brahma was afraid to come near the Lord. While he was coming to see the Lord, the Vedas slipped from his hands and fell down. The Vedas, when it hit the earth, it was absorbed inside. Bhuma Devi held them. The Devatas requested Narasimha Dev to retrieve the Vedas. Lord Narasimha took the Kroda form, the one-horned boar, and dived inside the earth to come out with the Vedas, and Bhumi Devi sitting on his shoulders. Lord took this very special form. The second form is Kaaranja Narasimha. Here sits the Lord, which is the one in the middle. Here sits the Lord in Padmasanam posture with a welcoming smile under the shade of the hood of Adiseshan. The Moola Beram is installed under a Kaaranja tree, and therefore he is known as Kaaranja Narasimhan. The deity of the Lord appears to be seated in meditation with Adiseshan. You can see Adiseshan here over his head. The upper right hand holds the chakram and the upper left hand has Sharngam bow. The lower hands are in Dhyana Mudra. Now, why would Narasimha have a Sharngam bow? It's not associated with Narasimha. There's a story behind that. Once Hanuman was performing austerities in Ahobilam and was continuously chanting the holy name of Lord Rama. Immediately Lord Narasimha appeared before him and asked, "Yes, you call me?" Hanuman was surprised and said to Narasimha, "You're disturbing me, please go away." Narasimha replied, "I am Rama." Hanuman was again surprised and asked, "How can you be Rama? You don't have a form like that of Rama." Immediately Lord Narasimha manifested himself like Rama with a bow in one hand and Sudarshana in the other hand. Hanuman got convinced and from then on started to worship the form of Sri Kaaranja Narasimha. There's a small altar of Hanuman in the temple. And the last of the 9 Narasimha, Paavana Narasimha, is on the banks of the river Paavana. Hence the Lord of the shrine is known as Paavana Narasimha Swami. Paavana means pure and sacred. He is the one who is worshipped as Om Pavitraya Namaha, his purity incarnate. The main deity is actually a Lakshmi Narasimha deity. Upper hands carry Shanga and Chakra. The lower right hand is in Abhaya pose. And the lower left hand is shown embracing Lakshmi seated on his left thigh. Okay, so that so those are all the 9 Narasimha. Other than that, there's something called the Prahalad Mettu, which is really a cave. And it's a small shrine situated in a cave on the hill. It's between the Ugra Stambham and the upper Ahobilam. It's dedicated to Prahalada Narasimha Swami. An image of Prahalada is installed in a small cave. And also around this whole area, there are many holy tirthas. And of one of these is called the Rakta Kundam, is the most important. It is stated that Lord Narasimha, after killing the demon Hiranyakashipu, washed his hands in this tirtham, and hence the water is still reddish in appearance. So, personally, I have not been to Ahobilam. Hopefully, I will go there one day. But I just thought I collected a lot of this information to give you guys an idea and maybe also interest the next time that you go to India. You can try to make a visit there. So I all pray to Lord Lakshmi Narasimha to bless us with his grace so that we may come and have his darshan in Ahobilam. Thank you.